Why do successful people struggle to take their own needs, accomplishments, emotions, ambitions so seriously? I'm Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions, and we are exploring this vulnerability and the ability to take yourself seriously when it comes to ambitious professionals. As a licensed mental health counselor and a brain coach, I've helped thousands of people be able to own their true self and break through the barriers that trauma creates, allowing them to be more purpose-driven and have lasting change and motivation and success orientation in their lives. They're creating positive flow states, and they're keeping the positive flow states going because of my neuroscience-based framework to be more purpose-driven and have lasting change and motivation and success orientation in their lives. They're creating positive flow states, and they're keeping the positive flow states going because of my neuroscience-based framework to be more purpose-driven and have lasting change and motivation and success orientation. And it's all about awareness, acceptance, and action. And the individualized plan that I create with my clients is what helps them to find their true self and meet the potential they were meant to make. So there's a huge connection between self-diminishment and chronic anxiety. I talk a lot about, and I'm discovering more, so subscribe and stay tuned. There are 13 to the power of 3. It's coming. 13 to the power of 3 of feedback loops. So when you get that anxiety and that pressure on your chest and that weight at the back of your throat, 13 to the power of 3. Remember that. That is 13 cubes of past trauma coming in, layering, weighing on you. These feedback loops of, I'm afraid, so I don't want to do it. Because I don't want to do it, I'm afraid. And it just keeps going, reinforcing itself on fear of success, fear of failure, self-sabotage, and scarcity mindset. And so how do we break through this? We're going to find out later, so just stay tuned. What we want to do is understand that this self-diminishment, this capacity, is all about the negative cycle. Distressing thought, feeling, or belief. Avoidance. Short-term relief of that little dopamine pool. And that dopamine pool is why we all think we have ADHD. Stay tuned for that one. But it gives us long-term anxiety growth. And psychologists will call that the anxious cycle. I created a negative cycle and I said, you know what? I'll raise you long-term anxiety, and I'll give you lack of capacity, low motivation, and explicit and implicit devaluing. Like, I'm going to just go for it. We're like really in this. And what does that do? It makes you have more distressing thought, feelings, and behaviors. It makes you really want to avoid. It feels really good. And it is diminishing, self-diminishment. It is diminishing your perceived ability that you can get out of this. It dilutes you into thinking it costs more energy to neutralize and go into a positive cycle than to stay where you are in the comfort zone in the negative. And so what does that mean? It means we are trapped in bondage to our anxiety, to this fear. Do you know what the opposite of fear is? Faith. The opposite of fear is faith. And when we have faith, we can do anything. Because faith gives us capacity. Faith gives us value and purpose and strength building and a growth mindset. All things you need when you are emotionally resilient. See how it all comes together? It's all linked. It's all connected. Faith lets go of the anxiety because it lets go of the fear, lets go of the doubt. It takes faith to neutralize the cycle and start the positive flow state. So how do you distinguish between healthy self-advocacy and arrogance? Because nobody wants to be this arrogant buffoon who, what we call an egomaniac, what most people will wrongly call narcissist. But they're an egomaniac, right? Everything's about them. I am so amazing. I think I am wonderful, and I really believe it. Egomaniac. Narcissist is like, I am hiding everything. I want to control everything. Don't ever look at my faults. Find my faults and you'll find my nasty side. Ingratiate me and you'll see me as the nicest person you've ever met. But an egomaniac really believes it. Like they really believe like they are running it high. And that's arrogance. But self-advocacy says that we are grounded and neutral, that we are negotiating our value. Go back several weeks. Week 3 in the key steps to live a happier and healthier life, part 3, interpersonal effectiveness, we talked about negotiating value. And there are these kind of cognitive dissonance, these core beliefs that we have that prevent us from wanting to make a boundary statement. Self-advocacy is that boundary statement. Go check that out. Links are going to be in the video description. But what happens is we need to set boundaries. And setting healthy boundaries says, I validate you. I don't have to agree with you, but I validate you. And I pivot to a boundary statement that serves my value as well as the value of our relationship. And I am open to compromise for you to say what your value is and how we can meet on a similar plane, but I'm not willing to give up my value because you're a little bit louder, I'm a little bit afraid of myself. And so if we looked at a structure approach to honoring our emotions without apology, we would have a counter-rational statement for whatever causes us to, I just don't want to be unliked, like I just don't want to be mean. I mean, I don't know, like maybe I don't know as much as I think I do and I shouldn't get that raise. I mean, I don't want people to be mad at me. I really hate confrontation. All of those are irrational statements that keep us from setting boundaries. And so we counter it to say we do deserve this, and it's important for us to do this. If we respect ourselves and we respect the relationship, then we should have the trust. Trust feedback loop. Should have the trust to put ourselves out there and make a boundary statement. Boundaries are how you show you care about people. Being vulnerable is having an I statement, owning your side of the street while setting a boundary. Boundaries are not guard dogs and barbed wire fences. They're cones. They're cones because you don't want someone to come into your space and you don't want to come into someone else's space and slip and fall. You don't want someone to come in your space and slip and fall because the floor is slippery and wet. So you put up cones that just says, hey, be a little more mindful and aware. That's all you're doing. Be a little more mindful and aware. This is a trigger topic for me. I need to be a little more mindful and aware. I need to be more present. Because I know it doesn't take long for me to start suppressing and then over-engaging, overreacting. And so all I'm trying to do is find my balance. And so these feedback loops that keep us from being vulnerable, that keep us in a performance trauma state, that keep us depressed, that keep us anxious, that keep us in our attachment disorder, this perceived expectation someone's going to leave us or people are a burden, that keep us from showing our emotion, that keep us in our trauma, that keep us in our low value, that keep us in shame and guilt, that keep us in the language of discipline. 13 to the power of 3. All says I need to be strict. I have shame and guilt. I do not like what's happening here. I need to be more strict. I am going to overly control the situation. Think of it like being in a wave pool and you're trying to keep leaves in your little corridor. And you're like, these are my leaves. Whoa, these are my leaves, right? And the leaves come out and you're like, no, come here, get me my leaves. And you're trying to keep hold of them. But life is chaotic and it's bumping into you and it's coming all around you. And you don't have the internal locus of control that you think you do. And you are not as strict as you think you are. And you are not restricting as much as you should be. So you say, I must not have willpower. Life just happens and there's nothing I can do. And we jump right into the tornado. We jump into another feedback loop that gives us a better sense of perceived control. And as we're in it, there's some external locus of control, like life happens. It doesn't matter what I do. Life's going to happen no matter what. And then we give in to our lack of control and we feed the shame and guilt, the low value, the lack of agency, all of those things. And then we avoid distressing thought, feeling, or belief. We avoid. And so no matter where you are on those 13 to the power of 3 feedback loops, somewhere, all you have to do is ground, find intention, awareness, empowerment, acceptance, and balance, action. And your balance to the power of 3 in positive, action-oriented flow state is balance between your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors. So every time you set an intention to your thought, you follow it through, dopamine pull times 3. Your feeling, set an intention, follow it through, dopamine pull times 3. Your behavior, throw it through an intentional state, you'll find your empowerment. You grab that balance, dopamine times 3. That is 9. 3 to the third power is 3. Times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is close to 100, right? 60, 21, yeah, like 88. I don't know. That doesn't feel right. Not doing math right now. It's a lot. It's a lot. We own our side of the street. We zoom out and find the bigger picture. We build that space, that precognition that we talked about last week. Go to the video. It's in the video description if you can't find it. We own our space. We allow somebody else to own their space. And in the center is the space we occupy together. And we intentionally engage in that centered space. We purposely bring in what is necessary to be curious about what is it that they're wanting. What are they trying to ask from me? What are they trying to achieve from me? Validate, don't agree. Validate, don't agree. And find where you can come halfway at them. Pivot to where this is our compromise. Together, we can both achieve greater things if this is what we agree to. Sell it, set a boundary around it, sell it, negotiate your value. This is what all of my key steps to living a happier, healthier life, part 3, interpersonal effectiveness, is all about. We start with mindfulness because mindfulness and letting go, foundation of wellness. We go into basics of interpersonal skills, just the Carl Rogers 101 on how to make somebody feel validated. We go into negotiating value. How do I make myself feel validated and get my point across? We start to work with understanding that Jungian archetype and collective intelligence. How do I make a difference for other people? How do I understand them more? We get into behavior is predictable. We say, oh, how do I understand more people? Oh, well, it's predictable. This is exactly what they're about to do. We get into the negative dynamic, the cycles we get into. We get into conflict resolution, how to find that equalizer state and that power of neutral. We find what our networking alignment is. And now we are at emotional algorithm, which is a prescribed way of being present even when you can't be present. Because let's face it, as anxious high achievers, there's a lot of times we don't have the bandwidth. We are constantly in our head. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow, so subscribe and stay tuned about why we get into these anxious places that we don't have the bandwidth. There's a unique population that I hone that I do not market for, but for some reason they find me. And maybe it's because I do believe in divinity and a higher power, and I think that they are coming to me because I have a unique gift. I am a very analytical person, and I am kind of on the spectrum. And so I get lack of emotion. I get needing algorithms and analytics and having data to make decisions and data to inform why we do the things we do. It's why I'm so good at my job. It's why I can come up with a 13 to power of 3 algorithm for why it's so hard to do the things we want to do and achieve our potential. And in this little niche demographic, I have probably 24 kind of mid-40s to mid-60s white males who have been the CEO their entire life, has been, the top contributor in their family, has made all the decisions. The kids are now out of the house. They're empty nesters. The wife says, I am going to lose it if you think we are living together and having a good old time when you have alienated me and your family for the last 20 years. You need therapy or I'm out of here. And we work together to find this emotional availability, to allow them to understand that they are not wrong, but they were an anxious high achiever, and it did well for them in corporate America. It made really great decisions for their companies. But at home, it alienated everybody around them because they sat there and ruminated every single possible thing that could go wrong and what the answer is. So when it came to what house are we going to buy, well, I already figured it out. This is the house we're going to buy. It's the best return on our investment. And what are we going to paint the living room? Well, this is the best color. I went through all the options and I know that this is going to be the best color. So you can see how and why a partner may not feel like they have any agency or ownership in their life. And as they were quietly kind of taking over the decisions and being able to survive in the decisions of a home, now that this person doesn't have corporate America to make decisions, now they're making all the decisions at home, and it is not jiving. Empathy algorithm is the answer, and it's why I created it, because of the special niche that I work with in my success coaching clients. Not typically what I do, but it is an anxious high achiever, and I guess it does fit my algorithm. So if you're looking to find a way to negotiate your value, to be a little more vulnerable, because it allows you to take yourself more seriously, to market yourself more seriously. This also happens with veterans as they're going out into the civilian world and they're trying to get into a job interview. They just want to be humble. And it's like, you can be humble, but I would market my data points. I wouldn't market me because that's really hard to do and I'd probably fumble. But I would market my assets
and I would talk to my assets as if I were talking about a mission. Because your mission is to find a job. Your mission is to acclimate to civilian life. And when they can do that, they find more purpose, more value, and lasting change. All a part of my neuroscience-based framework to help people live happier and healthier lives. And if that's something you want to do, click in the video description, get that free 15-minute wellness insight, and I can help you. I'm Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Today's insights helped you to reflect more on insights on how to live more intentionally in your relationships or in your professional or personal growth. Please give this video a like and thumbs up and share it with others who could also use the insight and support. Each week, I dive into these real strategies that are coming out of my book, Key Steps to Live a Happier and Healthier Life, Part 3, Interpersonal Effectiveness. So please be sure to subscribe and to join us each week to learn more about how to create deeper, more meaningful connections, set healthier boundaries, and live a purpose-driven life. All of the principles I teach in my workbook. Your growth matters. So thank you for being here. Let's keep building a happier and healthier life together, one step at a time.